point right here, that is where my approach has finished. Okay, and my preference is that this horse's hip be behind him here and not pointing over to the second barrel, because if it is, he's in a position for his shoulder to drop in on the first. From about 30 feet back, when I'm running up here, I'm deciding how my horse feels. Does he feel like he's getting ready to turn this barrel? Is he thinking about rating? Do I need to squeeze him a little more forward with my legs and ride him forward? Or is he haul and tail and I need to sit back so that we don't run to the fence at the turn? That will help you a whole lot in being able to be at the right speed whenever you start to turn your barrel. Okay, you also, your body position, you want to be sitting right over top of this horse's spine. You don't want to be leaning in. We've talked about it before. If I lean in like this, my horse is in a great position to drop his shoulder. And if he follows the pressure of me on his back, he should drop in. So for me to be in the best position to help this horse, I'm going to roll my hips back. I'm going to have some pressure on this outside thigh. I'm going to kind of bend into the outside thigh and very softly brace my leg against the side of the horse. Not hard enough to push him in, but I'm just right there so that if he goes to step way out, I feel it instantly. So it's like my leg is a barrier there, and as long as he's where he's supposed to be, he feels nothing except for the gentle pressure of my leg. If he starts to step out, I'm going to put enough pressure to remind him to keep his rear end behind him. Now, from here, you need to be balanced and of the mind that this horse has to move forward out of this turn in order to get in a position to leave it. So every position on the pattern is going to be followed by another forward motion. So you need to be balanced and you need to be out of your horse's way in a position to help him at each spot on the turn. Okay, the set, that was the approach that I wanted to take. The horse was able to not run too straight to the barrel on a forward motion, giving himself enough room in order to still be upright whenever he sits, so that he can then have his rear end engaged underneath him and move forward from here to the back side of that barrel where I will want him to leave from. The set is not just right here. That 30 feet back I was talking about, that is the key to having your set be where you need it and how you need it. So whenever people are explaining barrel racing and explaining to somebody how to ride a horse through the pattern, I hear a lot of people saying, just set them with two hands at the first, bump 2 times around it. And I see that, and that could be a correct description of how to do that. But what I see a lot of times is people will go up there and they say, I set with 2 hands and I bump 2 times and nothing happened. The key to it is feeling when you set your horse, feeling this horse rate down and slow down to a speed that he can turn this barrel. You don't want him to stop, you don't want him to rate too much, but he has got to gather himself and have his balance and slow down in order to make this turn effectively without running out of it and being able to be in control of his feet, so that 1, he doesn't fall, and 2, he gets himself in a position to leave here hard and fast. From the set, I will want this horse, this part of this horse, I already know the tracks I want him to be on. So I'm going to think about his front legs and his back legs moving on that perfect track around this barrel. It's a forward motion. Even though this horse is turning, it will be a forward motion. A lot of times we get in trouble there is because we think turn and we pull with our hand. Instead of riding the horse from right here, our focus goes into our hand and we try to drag him around the barrel, which can make the horse lose track of his rear end and he will lose speed that way. So we're talking about perfect conditions. And when you set up perfect conditions, then it ends up coming through in your run. Whenever you've practiced for that run, you make your run and your horse remembers all of those positions you have put there for him. So from here, I will slightly see his eye, but my legs will squeeze so that this horse moves forward on this track. I'm rolled down in the saddle, my knees are bent right here, even. I am pushing forward, till his inside rear leg gets here. Whenever he reaches here with his inside rear leg, with my knuckles up, I just point him straight across the pin, and that's what asks him to leave this barrel. If you get him in that position, they know they're going across the pin. So that's what they're trying to do. A big mistake is a lot of times we ask them from right there and they're already trying to leave from right there, which makes their front end be trying to turn and run and their rear end still over here, which will end up in a bow and it's not as fast. If you're looking to have controlled, fast turns, this lets your horse be in a body position that he can really use himself to get around that turn and to drive hard leaving it. And it lets you be in a position that should he try to step in, you can feel what he's doing, you can feel his position, and you can be able to touch him with your leg, pick your hand up, drive him forward during that segment of the turn and be able to get around there with a clean turn. Okay, we have approached this barrel on the perfect track. We've let this horse's hip stay behind him so that he's balanced and so that he has that forward impulsion to move around this barrel and keep this pattern on a ground gaining kind of situation. I have felt that he is set right here. He is not running through it. He still has his balance and he's rated himself for this turn. Through that, I've pushed him forward on this track with a slight bend, staying upright on his spine till his inside rear leg steps there, and then I just bring my hand forward with my knuckles up. I don't pull him around, I don't stay back here, which is a big mistake we sometimes make. A big mistake is a lot of riders, I'll see them get right here, and they're making sure this horse stays bent in order to get around this barrel without hitting it with his hip, and they'll take that one more step and get his hip clear, but they're still like this. So this horse runs across the pin, he knows he's supposed to get across there, he runs about halfway with his head pointing this way. So what we have to do is get ourselves in tune that when that rear leg steps, the inside rear leg steps to where this horse can bring himself and go straight across the pin, I'm just going to push him with the outside leg and push my hand right where I want him to go. I have woke back up and I'm pushing forward with both legs on this line across the pin as I change hands, trying to let this horse keep his forward motion and gently, smoothly, gracefully, softly put both hands on the reins that we're going straight. I have my left hand where I want it, and then if I drop to one hand at the second, I've got that position. It was a nice smooth move without it being interfering to this horse and going from pulling out of here like this with his head way to the right to grabbing way out here. Get yourself, again, that goes back to body position. If you are in touch with your horse and you're seated from your knee to your hip, it's easy to fold in half and have balance and focus coming across the pin to be able to be smooth doing that.